All right, y'all, what is going on? This is episode 699 of the First and Frame Rate Show. We're almost at 700. 699 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And don't worry about the Georgia Southern Eagles. I know that my fans who like to watch this for Georgia Southern content, do not panic. Georgia Southern is fine. They basically lost all the games we thought they were going to lose so far this year. And it looks like they could win out. So hopefully everything goes great with that. So they're on schedule. Do not panic. Now, what ain't fine, was not on schedule, is Coach Arthur Smith and the Atlanta Falcons. We're going to talk about them, give you my thoughts and opinions on what's going on here, because I really want to get upset, but there's a part of me that don't want to do it. I mean, it's been 24 hours. I had time to sit back and think about it, but you know, we got to hold this guy's feet to the fire, because it is really bad right now with some of the things that he's doing or what he's not doing. So we're going to get into all that. If this is your first time here, welcome. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble. Also, I am on Anchor, Spotify. I am on Apple and Google Podcasts. So if you want to listen to the show outside of the videos, it's there for your leisure. I want to thank everybody this weekend who's been watching the videos on YouTube and Rumble. You guys have been amazing. A lot of feedback. I really, really enjoyed the interaction of guys giving me their thoughts and opinions on this coach and his team and everything under that umbrella. I really, really appreciate it. And thanks to all the new subscribers. I can't thank you guys enough. I can also be found on Twitter or X at VF Baller, and the website is firstandframerates.com. If you want to support the show, all proceeds go to the show and help build, more equipment, better studio lighting, all this other stuff. The Cash App is VF Baller 20, or the PayPal link is down in the description. So let's just go ahead and get into this. Coach Arthur Smith is basically, I guess it took a while for us to see this. And it took me probably about 4 games in to see it now. It's 8 games in. And with Taylor Heineke in the mix, and you see the play calling, I think the common denominator is Coach Arthur Smith at this point. It got to the point where I still think, don't get me wrong, I still think that Desmond Ridder is not the elite quarterback that we need him to be to lead this team. I think that with his play is just good enough with other pieces around him. It's always a collective team, but you know how the quarterback is the one that basically drives and does all the things possible for a team to be a championship caliber team, especially offensively. I just don't think he's that guy, but I think he's good enough that you can win a lot of football games, and you possibly win a Super Bowl if you have a lot of, good pieces around him. He's not that type of guy to make those mistakes. But, it kind of made me feel kind of bad for some of the vitriol he's been getting. And in some cases, we may need to, dare I may say, possibly give Marcus Mariota somewhat of an apology. I mean, don't get me wrong, Marcus Mariota was terrible, but some of this stuff, not necessarily on him. You look at the play calling, you see what's going on with Coach Arthur Smith, and it has just been abysmal. It's been pretty bad, especially the last 2 games. And some things is not adding up. Some things is not right. You want to sit here and you want to draft all of these, high profile, elite, talented players, especially in the first round. And, some of these other players have panned out, but when that's not in the first round. But when you get 2 pass catchers and a dynamic running back, and you don't get any results of what you're getting out of these guys, it's not on them. It's very easy for us to go out here and just look at the play on the field and say, oh, this player's trash, that player's trash. These guys, and I said this on Smitty's Sports Machine show. Shout out to Smitty. Just Google or just put in the search engine on YouTube, Smitty Sports Machine. He had me on the show on Sunday, and it was a phenomenal show. I really appreciate him having me on. But this is not on the players. These players are way too talented to have these problems. He's setting guys up in bad positions. He's not running the right plays. He's running plays to the wrong players. Your dynamic players are not getting the ball like they're supposed to. And when they do get the ball, it's in some weird situation where they're being basically shelled in. They can't get any open space, or they're near their own players. Like I've seen some plays where some of the receivers are like right next to each other in passing plays like that. That's not supposed to be the case. And it all goes back to play calling. It all goes back to coaching. It all goes back to scheme and philosophy. And I think that Coach Arthur Smith needs to do something immediately. He needs to do something immediately to fix this. Because if you go with another game plan like this and you lose the next game, albeit it's going to be against the Cardinals in Arizona, your job should be your job should be done as an Atlanta Falcons coach. Because it makes no sense. This team is way too talented. You've got too many guys that came in here on defense. You got too many draft picks that you got on offense. And to not make things happen the way it is. I think I can't remember, was it the last 2 or the last 3 games? I think we only had 10 field goals and 5 touchdowns. Or something like that. It could be the last 2 games. But that's unacceptable. 10 field goals, 5 touchdowns with this high-powered offense. And yes, this is a high-powered offense. Y'all got to understand. Let's name some players that are on this team. You got to think about it. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, Cordell Patterson. That right there alone should get you damn near 21 points almost every game if you're going to run the ball. If you're going to primarily run the ball, you should get at least 21 points in the running game with that type of dynamic in the backfield. Receivers, and I'm going to add tight ends to this. You got Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts. You got Drake London, Scotty Miller, Mac Hollins, Cordell Hodge. You got Van Jefferson. If you want to air it out and throw the ball, you should be putting up at least 28 to 35 points. And that's even with a Desmond Ridder or a Taylor Heineke back there. You got too many weapons for this. Way too many weapons. And I have nothing bad to say about the defense. The defense have done a phenomenal job this year. I have no quarrels with the defense. The defense got these guys in field position, gave them good field position numerous times. At least twice last game. You had the ball on the 1-yard line. And you can't get the ball in the end zone. Your math is not adding up. Your math ain't mathing. It's just not. And it's really, it's really disheartening to see that because you're in year 3 and you're 4-5 for the 3rd year in a row. The first 2 years, okay, all right. You didn't have what you needed. We was in the salary cap hell. But this is the year. You got a down NFC South, and you can see how down it is. I mean, just look at what happened with the Buccaneers. Look at what's going on with the Panthers. The Saints are barely getting by with their play. We should be running through these teams. At this year, we should be at least, 9 games in? We should be at least 7-2, or we should be 6-3 right now. Easily. The defense have set this team up to be in that position. The game yesterday against Minnesota, you've got 4 field goals out of a situation where 2 of those should have been touchdowns. You should have had at least 20 to 24 points or 20 to 28 points in the middle of the second quarter against this Minnesota Vikings team. Even with the Titans, the Titans game, okay, I give you the defense kind of was caught off guard by Will Levis, but that still don't make no sense. These guys, the scheme of all the offensive scheme that we're running gave Desmond Ridder no chance to play in that game. And kudos to Tyler Heineke to come in and make something happen. But we're just not getting anything out of our offense because there's no spark. There's no drive. There's just a bunch of bland play calling. And there's some wonky play calling in the red zone. Now, let me tell you what will fix this. I'm not in the locker room. I'm not in the front office. I don't know what's going on. But I've been watching football for a long time. And a lot of us have. And your guys don't need to sell yourself short because you haven't been a coach. You haven't been a coordinator. You don't know much that goes on in the locker rooms on the front office. Don't sell yourself short because we have knowledge as what we see on the field. I don't know it all, but I see enough. Why aren't we giving Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke any easy passes to throw? Now, there's a few, but the problem is we're doing it so much, or we're doing it so little, not so much, we're doing so little of it, it becomes predictable when you're trying to do it later on in the game. It needs to be a situation where you need to progress later on. These short, safe passes need to be long, bigger passes later. But there's no consistency in the play calling. You're trying to do so much with a guy that doesn't have that much experience, and it's just not working. Why not just run the ball up the middle repeatedly and wear teams out and then do a quick play action to give Desmond Ridder, give Taylor Heineke some rhythm, some confidence, give them something. You're not doing anything like that. You're throwing him out there as if he's a veteran. It does not work like that. Like I said, defensively, I don't have much to say. But Arthur Smith needs to make things simpler for his quarterback. Whoever it is, Heineke, or if it's Desmond Ridder, he needs to make it simple for these guys. I made a video, I'll say it again, it was episode 680 something. Is he, indirectly sabotaging Desmond Ridder? This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. 686. It was episode 686. Now, like I said, I'm out on Ridder thinking that he's going to be like this top-notch, top 5, top 10. Because I thought that Coach Arthur Smith was going to be able to develop this guy into something like that. The way they were bringing him along from not letting him play last year, reading the playbook, learning from the sideline, having your 4 games last year, I thought he was going to evolve into something like a Jalen Hurts or anything. And don't get me wrong, I think he still has time to do it. I just don't see it. So the main thing is the fact that you still got time, Arthur Smith, the fact that you still have time, you need to go ahead and fix what's going on now. Because Desmond Ridder, the season's not over for him. The season's not over for Desmond Ridder. He can come back and make some adjustments, make some changes, and learn some things from what he saw on the sideline and actually perform. But you got to lead this. You're gonna have to lead this guy. It's either you gonna have to do it or somebody else has to be calling plays. Ragone, or you gonna have to give up the play calling abilities and let somebody else lead this guy into what he can, the quarterback that he needs to be. Because at one point I thought, okay, everything was. I ain't gonna say everything. At one point I thought a lot was on him. He's not listening to the coach. He's not processing what's going on there. I think. We and everybody said this. I've heard this on the radio. I've heard this from other people saying that Desmond Ridder is having a problem processing what Arthur Smith is giving him. But you know what? I don't think there's nothing to process. Or if it is, it's very confusing to process because it's not enough to get this guy to the next level. He should be progressing by, game number 9 of this year. Now, before I get out of here, I will say this. The offensive line needs to do much better because this is an offensive line that's actually not that bad, but I'll say not that bad based on last year, but this year they have regressed. They have stepped back. They have gotten terrible. You need to keep these quarterbacks upright. You need to give these guys throwing lanes, and we need to be able to run the ball. Now, running the ball is not a problem. We saw what Tyler Algier did last week or this past game. Bijan Robinson actually ran a little bit. Cordell Patterson actually ran a little bit. Bijan Robinson fumbled. You need to fix that. I don't think he has a fumbling problem, but I think that's his second fumble so far. I'm not sure, but that needs to be fixed. I think we could run the ball just as well as anybody else, but to win football games, we need more of a balanced attack because teams are already looking at us like, look, all we got to do is just load the box up and dare their quarterback to beat us. And if you want the quarterback to beat, you want our quarterback to beat teams, you need to simplify some things for him. You need to call some plays that actually would work in his favor. And that's something that Coach Arthur Smith haven't been doing. And sometimes just making things easy for the quarterback is some of the simplest things. I don't have a problem with the screenplays. John O. Smith did pretty good on the screenplays. We see other guys get the screenplays, the tunnel screens. Those are safe plays for your quarterback. But we need more slant routes. We need more curls. We need some more simple plays that get our big receivers in one-on-ones and in space with against other opponents. We do not need these plays where these guys are trying to catch balls in tight windows. You got 3 or 4 guys around them. Sometimes their own teammates are around them. We don't need those because it's very hard to catch the ball and run after the catch after those situations. It just doesn't work that way. So something needs to change, man. Something needs to change. I think that Coach Arthur Smith, I ain't gonna say I think he has an opportunity to do it. I think if he goes out, if they go out and beat Arizona in a respectable way, and I think some people start to look at this different. But you're gonna have to let this team play to their strengths. You gotta create mismatches. This team is too talented for us not to create mismatches. This should be an easy situation to fix. Because you got the horses, you got the talent, you got the players. This should not be this hard. Let's stop running these plays, these weird plays in the red zone. Let's stop running these crazy trick plays at the wrong time. Let's stop doing that. Let's just make it simple. Run the ball when it's short distance to first down. Let's pass the ball when we think we can catch the defense off guard with a play action. And let's just pass the ball when we need to get downfield with simple, I ain't going to say simple, but with plays that the quarterback can read and get the ball to the receivers. This is what we're seeing on the sideline. This is what we're seeing on TV. That stuff is not happening. Now, I went way longer than I thought I would be because, we're going on 17, 18 minutes in. I don't never try to do these episodes this long, but this right here is getting ridiculous. Something's got to give, Coach Arthur Smith. Your math ain't adding up. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think. I don't know what I'm talking about. Please let me know. I think I know a little bit of something, based on what I've seen on the field. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I see enough to know that Arthur Smith needs to fix something ASAP. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, also on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. I could also be found on X at VF Baller. The website is firstandframerates.com. And if you want to support the show, all the Cash App and the PayPal links are down below. All right, y'all. I'm going to get out of here. Y'all have a good evening, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, y'all. Y'all be blessed. Peace.